professional sports based on the fact that you get to see each other once during the week. What do you do as a player in order to keep yourself tuned up leading into the warm-up, which happened this morning here at First Niagara?
Well, the typical week, every guy here has got another job. You know, you gotta put in a work week, and then on top of that, find some time to train and stuff like that. I've had a personal trainer for 5 or 6 years now, and she's fantastic. So she keeps me going throughout the season, and you know, it's get to the gym, get for a few runs when you can. Tuesday night practice is pretty tough on you too, because it's a good run and good sweat. So, you know, it's just keeping up your cardio and keeping the mobility in your muscles and stuff like that.
To the game tonight, what will the message be by head coach Troy Cordingley before you're officially introduced to start this game?
He's just going to tell us to go out there and work hard and try to feed off the crowd and, you know, take advantage of this home playoff game that we have. And, you know, last week he went in with a JT jersey on for a little motivation, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does it again because, you know, that's one guy who's put a lot of time into this community, deserves to get another shot to play again in front of his home crowd. So, you know, we're kind of just getting together and hopefully, you know, pull it in for the team, but also for Johnny Tavares.
Andrew Watt, great, thanks.
Thanks a lot, great to see you.
Andrew Watt, the Under Armour player profile tonight in our pregame show here at downtown Buffalo. The house lights down, the arena dark, and we're just about ready for the bagpipe player and the spotlight introduction, not only for the Buffalo Bandits, but for the Bandits as well. John Gertler, Randy Mearns with you. And Randy, good interview with Andrew Watt. Here's the player that scored the game's first goal last week, and who do you think will score it this week?
I think
put you on the spot.
I think hometown number 5, Joey Resetarits.
All right.
I think he's going to have a stellar game here at home. You know, he's been waiting for this opportunity, playoffs back in Buffalo. You know, obviously got traded, came into the Buffalo Bandit forum, became part of the team, and I thought he's had a great year so far, you know, for the Buffalo Bandits, and I think he's going to have a hot hand tonight. For
listeners that just joined us, Randy, let's go through the official scratches tonight for the game.
Yeah, for the Rochester Knighthawks, a couple of one kind of a surprise, other maybe not so much. Joel McCready, great transition grinder type of guy, can also score if you're given the opportunity. He is out of the lineup tonight, as well as defender Mac Allen. For the Buffalo Bandits, we have defender Glenn Bryan out of the lineup, as well as the veteran Aaron Wilson. Right-handed
so the Bandits will be going pretty much with the same lineup that they did last week in Toronto. Anthony Cosmo gets the start. .797 during the regular season. Comes into this evening's game after his playoff marker in Toronto. .752 overall for his playoff record is 2-7. We go to the other end with Matt Vince. 12-3 in the regular season. .798 save percentage. Randy very strong in the postseason. 10-4 record and a .777. And here's one of the guys that you coached in college at Canisius.
Yeah, he's again another phenomenal athlete, and you kind of got to give the Knighthawks a little bit of advantage to this. You know, over the recent history, I mean, they've won the National Lacrosse League Championship, so they know what it takes. They've been there before. They know the playoff atmosphere, where you still have some of these guys on the Buffalo Bandits that haven't really experienced it or know exactly what it takes, and they have to get that. They have to gain confidence as this game starts and all the way through and be successful. But again, the big thing for the Buffalo Bandits offensively is they got to break the middle. They got to get inside the house. If they shoot from 25, 30 feet out where Matt Vince can see the ball, and that's tough to do. It's easier said than done than trying to, you know, get inside and get some quick feeds, because you know you're going to probably be hitting the turf. But you got to pay the price. As Troy Cordingley says, if you want to win a National Lacrosse League Championship, that's where you got to do. That's where you got to be, man. You got to break into the house, and you got to get in front of Matt Vince.
In addition to the new playoff format, there will also be an extra referee out on the turf, so there'll be 3 out on the floor. So all eyes on certain situations. Do you think they'll let the players play?
Oh, I think they're going to let the players play. I think that third referee, I mean, my assumption will probably be more of a little bit more of a technical kind of ref, making sure the transition, the line changes. Because, see, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? So guys are going to try to get in and out of the gate, try to create those transition, those 3-on-2s. Those are the easy ways to score. So I think that third official will be a little bit more of that technical guy, making sure those technical aspects of the game are followed to a T. TV.
The game is next from Buffalo. This is game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals. Yep. Oh, you're doing great, man. Yeah, I think the last time we were together was in Rochester. Tonight from the First Niagara Center in downtown Buffalo, the Bandits live to play 2 and then maybe some. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Buffalo Bandits Lacrosse, game number 1 of the 2014 Eastern Division National Lacrosse League Finals. John Gertler with you, along with my broadcast partner, Randy Mearns. And Randy, an interesting lineup tonight for the Buffalo Bandits and Rochester Knighthawks. The fact of the new playoff format, they're going to play 2, and this is game number 1. Fortunately enough, here in Buffalo, so the fans can welcome the Bandits back, who back on April 26th were saying their official goodbyes. They didn't think they would be back, so big surprise and a big game last week in Toronto to get that victory.
Well, it certainly was, and you know, there's never enough lacrosse. I mean, there was lacrosse on TV all day today, and then you got the Bandit game here tonight. You know, and it's kind of interesting where you might look at it and say, well, why does Buffalo get the first game here at the First Niagara Center? Well, that's so the Rochester Knighthawks, if it does go to that 10-minute third kind of subset of a game, it's actually in Rochester. So that's why the Buffalo Bandits have this hometown first game here at the First Niagara Center.
The house lights are down. The spotlights are flashing not only down to the field but into the stands. The Bandits have been officially adduced, and they're rallying around their starting goaltender, Anthony Cosmo, and we are awaiting the arrival of the Rochester Knighthawks. Could be a little ploy, Randy, right at the start of the game to keep them into the dressing room until the official run and the call for the respective anthems. We do know that Cody Jamieson, the league's leading scorer, in the lineup tonight with 108 points. Following him is Dan Dawson, Stephen Kehoe with 71 points. Mark Stainhouse with 6 points last weekend. Great playmaker, coming in with 73 playoff points, and the all-time leader not only during the regular season but in the playoffs. It's John Tavares with 79 goals, 108 assists for 187 points. It'll be a great game tonight. We'll have the rundown for you on the official scratches and the roster for the Buffalo Bandits and the Rochester Knighthawks. Game number 1 of the 2014 Eastern Division National Lacrosse League Finals. The color guard out onto the turf as we speak. The teams now illuminated with spotlights, and we'll get the official singing of the Canadian and U.S. national anthems as sung by South Buffalo's Patrick Kennedy, and we'll go down and pick that up as well. What a game we have in store for you tonight. And let's go down on the turf.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Patrick Kennedy from South Buffalo with a singing of the Canadian and U.S. national anthems before the start of game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals of the National Lacrosse League. John Gertler with you along with Randy Mearns. Mike Jafari is our producer. Scott Fleetwood is our director here on site, an official statistician. And Joe Shullafu, one of our producers downstairs. As we look to our broadcast left, the Buffalo Bandits dressed to their home white with their black shorts and draped in orange. We go to the broadcast right. It'll be the Rochester Knighthawks in their teal uniforms, complete top to bottom, draped in white and black. And we look at both teams now rallying around the respective goaltenders. Starting tonight for the Knighthawks will be Matt Vince, coming into this evening's game, .777 playoff save percentage, a 10-4 record. Anthony Cosmo, .752, a 2-7 playoff record. The officials tonight, Todd LeBranche will be the crew chief. Josh Hills, Jason Wiswell, and Ryan Fowler, the other officials, before we go to the draw down to the center of the field. Jay Thornburg, who, Randy, went 84% last week. The little things paying dividends for the Bandits, and that's one of the important parts like that, as Jay Thornburg said, you can't score if you don't have the ball, and he was successful, 27 for 32 last Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, just amazing, and 22 loose balls, and a lot of those loose balls come from winning the faceoff to yourself. But again, a huge part of the game. It means more and more, because if you do have possession first, that's when you have the ability to gain momentum and go on runs.
Going against Dylan Evans at 49%. Buffalo wins the draw. It's Jay Thornburg getting the ball back down to the left wing side over to Mark Stainhouse inside the Rochester zone. Just underway if you joined us at the Buffalo Bandits and Rochester Knighthawks. Bandits with the ball. From the left point is Mark Stainhouse. Works it from outside the line. Gets a nice pick from Joey Resetaris. A pass over to Sean Williams. There's Benesh in front. Trying to get the ball over to Benesh, and he got a shot away. And Vince coming up with a save. It just trickled off to the left side of the Rochester netminders.
And just like the recipe of Troy Cordingley was stating before during pregame, the Bandits in and out of the inside in front of Matty Vince. There was a lot of movement. I like what I see so far offensively.
First possession for Rochester as they come across the line. Cody Jamieson gets checked by Billy D. Smith. Hangs onto that ball. Low center of gravity. Works it now from the top of the slot. Oozes in a little bit closer. Feeds it back. Long drive by Johnny Palish. Saved by Cosmo, and the rebound picked up by Buffalo, and they break back out to midfield. No score. Good lead pass along the way. Score! Buffalo! Mark Stainhouse.
And a great feed by one of the Buffalo Bandit defenders. He gets the loose ball. First and foremost, Cosmo makes a great save. Buffalo comes up with the ball, but we were talking about the transition. Stainhouse is the first one out the door. He's flying. He doesn't break the rules, but he's gone. One-on-one on Matty Vince. Comes to the short side for a 1-0 Bandit lead.
So for Mark Stainhouse, his 43rd playoff goal, the 1-0 lead for the Buffalo Bandits over the Rochester Knighthawks in the early goings of this game in a break and face-off formation. And the Knighthawks had the ball, but an off-ball infraction puts them a man down as Dylan Evans goes to the box for a cross-check.
Yeah, he's going to go to the box. Actually, it's not a cross-check. Buffalo got awarded the ball. You got to give the 5-yard space. Buffalo picks up the ball. Dylan Evans just starts chomping on, and I think it might have been Andrew Watt. That's an automatic that's an automatic technical foul. Evans is going to serve 2 in the box, and Buffalo going to go on the first power play.
40.5% power play efficiency during the regular season, but the Bandits 14-25, they score! 2-0 Buffalo!
Oh, and that all starts from up the top. Tavares feeds over to Stainhouse and then goes and sets a hard pick. Stainhouse comes all the way up over top of it. There's no rotation, and Stainhouse goes to the same spot on Matty Vince and blows it by the short side for a 2-0 Buffalo Bandit lead.
So just remarking the effect of the efficiency of the Bandits' power play in the latter part of the season. 14 for 25 in the last 4 games. They went 4 for 5 last week in Toronto, and now they built a 2-0 lead in this game. And we've only played a couple of minutes. Bandits with the ball from the drop, right back down into the Nighthawks zone. Ryan Benash, who had 7, has got the ball at the top of the slot. Dylan Evans checking him, reverses position, flips it back over to Tavares. Tavares far side over to Resetaris with a shot that goes wide of the Rochester net. It's picked up by the Nighthawks, and they dash down the left wing lane. 2-0 Buffalo. Here in the early goings of quarter number 1 of this Eastern Division Finals. Dan Dawson, who works the ball right at the Buffalo line from the left point, sets up the play now. And the extra attacker is coming out. I don't see a penalty coming up, but a shot straight on. Rebound to the left side of Anthony Cosmo, and he closes the left seal of the goalpost and comes up with a big save.
Yeah, that was Rochester throwing some trickery there, Johnny.
Sean Williams got a shot away, hit the goalpost. The rebound goes into the far corner. It's picked up by Stainhouse. 2-0 Buffalo here in the first quarter of play as Stainhouse works it from the left point. He's got Dane Smith with him. Here's Dane Smith with a shot. That got blocked into traffic off the leg of Ian Lord. That's going to leave a mark. Rebound picked up by John Tavares from the near Rochester corner. Slowing things down. 10 to shoot for the Bandits. Tavares' shot off the stick of Mike Kirk, and he wheeled it back out to midfield. Scott Self, former Bandit, brings the Nighthawks to midfield, and setting up the play as Mike Hazen makes a quick change out of the front door. Forwards come out, work it across the line. Cody Jamieson from the right point. Feed pass out in front of Vitarelli. Over the shoulder feed over to Johnny Paulus. Now back over to Jamieson. That pass went errant, and it goes all the way back out to midfield and over and back charge, and Andrew Watt picks it up. Watt tried to feed it back over to Mitch Wild, who captures the ball from behind the Rochester net and works it right back outside to midfield while Buffalo changes up on the fly and gets the forwards out. Bandits leading it 2-0 here in the first quarter of play with 11:30 remaining. Ryan Benesh with the ball, feeding it back over to a running Joey Reseptaris from the far side. Leaves it out in front, nobody there. It's picked up by the Nighthawks, and John Sullivan struggles to get it out. Finally uses the turf to get it back over to Brad Self, and he'll come to the Buffalo line. Tipping it back over to Stephen Kehoe, now to Dan Dawson, who will direct traffic and set up the offensive play with this possession by the Nighthawks down into the Bandit zone. 2-0 Bandits here in the early goings of this first quarter. Kehoe working the ball into the near corner over to Dan Dawson, eyeing up the situation on his 6'5" frame, takes the shot right on, and Cosmo comes up with a save and gets the outlet pass down over to Dane Smith, who turns on the speed with Derek Suddens. Here's Suddens setting a nice pick for Smith with a shot right on, and Vince coming up with a save. The rebound picked up by the Nighthawks, and they work it right back out to midfield. 2-0 Buffalo. Stainhouse opening up the scoring. Here's Craig Point with a shot. Big save by Cosmo. Outlets the ball down to the right wing side, and we start it back out to midfield. Carried by Jay Thornburg. Forwards come out of the front door of the Buffalo bench and get ready to go in over the line with Joey Resetaris along with a moving Sean Williams. Tips it back over to the far side, over to Stainhouse. He gets in closer. Hanging onto that ball now with 10 to shoot for the Bandits, leading it 2-0. Here's Stainhouse now, trying to get the ball back to the top of the slot, but it goes back out to midfield. An over and back charge against the Bandits, and the loose ball will be left down into the near Buffalo corner. 10:03 remaining here in the first quarter of play. Dawson has it from the corner, working it back over to the right wing side. Tipping it over to Cody Jamieson, the league's leading scorer with 108 points. Collected 10 of those on April 26th here in Buffalo. Jamieson from the far corner, getting checked by Steve Priolo. Here's Jamieson now looking for his seam, takes the shot, and Cosmo comes up with a save, and the outlet pass now goes to the right wing side as defenseman Derek Sutton starts it up for Buffalo. Working it back out to midfield. Buffalo right back out on the floor for the forwards. Chad Culp getting us some time there to Sean Williams. Goes to the far side, and Rooney comes up with the ball, tries to take the shot away, but he's checked down onto the turf and stops the clock with 9 minutes and 26 seconds left to play here in this first quarter. 2-0 Buffalo. This is Game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
Watch the Buffalo Bandits score 10 or more goals tonight. Your ticket stub is going to be worth 50% off your entree tomorrow at Lowe's Restaurants. Hey, welcome to Lowe's.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans, flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon into the net, scores! Curtis Dixon again! It's 11-10 Calgary!
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
With you this evening from the First Niagara Center in downtown Buffalo, and the Bandits with a 2-0 lead. Mark Stainhouse with 2. Scored an even strength goal. And then followed up right with a power play goal. So good synchronicity tonight, Randy Mearns, for the Bandits, working down in the offensive zone, and the defense has been crushing as well.
Yeah, all facets of the game are looking very, very well. And now we're only 5 minutes in. It's a long, long way to go here, Johnny. But I'll tell you, the offense is just clicking. They're flying, they're breaking, they're getting to the middle. Everybody's moving, the passing is crisp. And defensively, they've only allowed Rochester really bad angle shots, and Anthony Cosmo is just eating them all up.
Knighthawks got a shot on goal. Cosmo outletting a back out to midfield, picked up by Stainhouse. 2 goals tonight. The Bandits lead it 2-0. John Tavares works the ball from the right point, tips it over to the far side, over to Joey Resetaris. Works it in closer to Matt Vint, now to Tavares with a shot, and Vince with a shoulder save. Rebound is picked up by the Knighthawks, Dylan Evans, and he'll start it up the floor, tipping it back over to the left wing side of Brad Self, who rushes up. Self deking away from Chad Culp, who's hacking away and tips the ball out of the webbing of his stick, and it's picked up by Derek Sutton. His work back over to Chad Culp. He's got a breakaway. Here's Culp with a shot and a glove save. Rebound jumps back behind the Knighthawks net.
Wow, what reaction from Matt Vince. Culp all alone. He's got all the time in the world. Gives a couple of fakes. Comes back to the short side or the far side. Matty Vince throwing up the big left arm. Huge save.
Chad Culp scored the game-winning goal a week ago in Toronto. Ball down into the Bandits zone. Cody Jamieson works it, but he's being checked hard. Lost the ball from behind the net. It's picked up by guess who? Anthony Cosmo. Outletting it over to Steve Priolo. 2nd overall in the National Lacrosse League in defenseman scoring. Now to Sean Williams, fresh from the bench. Field wide over to Mark Stainhouse, who will start it up for Buffalo, approaching the Rochester line. A right wing pass over to Sean Williams, who scoots down into the near Rochester corner, flips it back to Ryan Benesh. Benesh tipping it back outside the line to Rooney. Now leading it back over to the top of the slot to a running Resetaris to Benesh. Feeding it back over to the far side to Stainhouse, and with no time left on the shot clock, the Bandits float the ball high along the glass, It trickles out to midfield, and it's picked up by the Knighthawks. Bandits leading it by a score of 2-0. Mark Stainhouse with the 2. Knighthawks started up with Stephen Kehoe working the ball to the right wing side over to Cody Jamieson, tipping it down to the far corner over to Joe Walters. Walters now tips it over to Kehoe, who's at the top of the slot, scoots in closer. Here's Kehoe with a shot, and Cosmo comes up with the save. The rebound goes into the near Buffalo corner, and Priolo is there to start it up for the Bandits at midfield. 2-0 Buffalo here in the first quarter of play. 6 minutes and 58 seconds remaining. Stainhouse with the ball in over the Rochester line. As the Bandits set up the play from the far corner, Stainhouse is close. He's into traffic, checked hard by Sid Smith, retreats, hangs onto the ball with 10 to shoot. Stainhouse with a shot, Vince with a save. Stainhouse gets his own rebound, resets the shot clock, so the ball floats out to Tavares. Tavares tipping it back over to Sean Williams, gathering the webbing of his stick. Plenty of time to shoot, and the Bandits offense stretches out. Here's Tavares now scooting back over to the right point, trying to get a shot away. Floats it back out to the top of the slot. A turnover, and Rochester breaks away. And an opportunity as Self comes in, takes the shot. Shoulders saved by Cosmo.
Yeah, and it looks like Buffalo's going to get a penalty here. As Rochester, well, you know what? Check that. It's actually going to look like it's going to go against the Nighthawk.
Sid Smith reluctantly going to the penalty box here at the First Niagara Center.
I mean, what a pickoff by Brad Self. Tavares tried to feed it inside. Self is gone. The 70-yard dash. Anthony Cosmo comes up with the big right shoulder save. And then we have Sid Smith, and this might be some kind of coincidental. Let's check it.
See if we can't get
2 minutes for a dead ball foul. Then the Buffalo Bandits bench spotted for too many men, being sure by number 19, Chad Culp.
I think the third official comes in the play there. Both teams get called for the technical foul of too many men leaving early. Still a 5-on-5 situation. Both in-homes, Corey Vitarelli and Chad Culp will serve the bench minors.
Nighthawks trying to take advantage of the delay from the penalty call as Dan Dawson works it from the left point, tipping it back over to the top of the slot over to Cody Jamieson, takes a couple of whacks. Jamieson takes the shot, he scores! Jamieson with that fast release and a laser coming to the right side of the Buffalo net, and the goose egg comes off the scoreboard for the Nighthawks.
God, he's so hard to handle just one-on-one. He's got a great center of gravity, just so strong on the legs, and gets up over top. He's kind of running to a bad angle, and you watch him shoot. He's got such a quick release, and it's a twister. Like, he comes very, very high, and you never know if he's going to come short, far, and he comes in and twists it back to the short side on Cosmo and breaks the goose egg for the Nighthawks. And they're down by 1.
36 goals in the regular season, 72 assists for 108 points. The leader in the National Lacrosse League, Cody Jamieson, scores his 14th playoff goal in just his 8th playoff game. Shot wide by Rochester as we pick up the play down on the turf. Steve Priola flicking the ball to Dane Smith, all alone down in the zone here. Smith with a shot, save! Vince in the webbing of his stick, and he outlets the ball immediately over to Scott Self, who starts Rochester up to midfield. 2-1 Bandits. 5 minutes, 24 seconds left to play here in this first quarter. Game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals. Dan Dawson with the ball, takes a couple of whacks from 2 Buffalo defenders, retreats from the near corner, then comes back out. Here's Dawson with a shot, he scores!
Yeah, and that one's going to count. I don't know if there will be a challenge flag here, but Dawson weaving back and forth, he gets doubled. Buffalo switches, so now all of a sudden it's Andrew Watt, and he gets back up underneath and goes into the air and comes back short side. I think it's going to be a good goal because the ball goes in the back of the net before he lands in the crease.
Well, he was in mid-flight and that ball crossing the goal line, so no challenge or movement by the Buffalo coaching staff to exercise their one challenge per half. And from the face-off, Buffalo controls the draw. Nice move by Dylan Evans, flipping it right back over to Mike Kirk in the zone, and the Nighthawks will start it up 2-2 the score with 4 minutes and 56 seconds remaining in this quarter number 1. Buffalo jumped out to a 2-0 lead real fast. Stainhouse with the 2. Here come the Nighthawks staging the play from the far corner as Johnny Palace leads out in front. There's a shot saved by Cosmo. Rebound comes back out for Buffalo as Cosmo walks well out of his crease and fields it back out to midfield. Ryan Benesh with the ball. 7 goals last week for Benesh. Working it outside the line. Finds a right wing pass open to Sean Williams. Williams into traffic. Low shot there attempted by Rooney. Got it back over to Tavares. Here's Tavares trying to get a shot away. Went out of the webbing of his stick. Couldn't get the full throttle on it. And Rochester capitalizes and works it right back to Scott Self. Here's Self now with the ball, taking the shot. Cosmo coming up with a pad save. Rebound, Jay Thornburg for Buffalo. 2-2 the score. Quarter number 1. 4 minutes remaining. As Thornburg leads the ball out at midfield. Buffalo quickly changes up on the fly. Benesh is back out there. How about this? 19 points for Benesh in the last 2 games if you include the last game of the regular season. Here's Benesh. That got blocked into traffic. Tries to get his own rebound. 5 to shoot for Buffalo as Benesh struggles with the ball back behind the Knighthawks net. He's checked into the boards and the loose ball picked up by the Knighthawks. Working it back out to midfield.
Kind of weird there. Buffalo played that whole offensive possession without a guy. I think Buffalo kind of got mixed up. We got a guy in the box, but they didn't get that 5th guy out there. You're not really going to have much success when you're playing 4-on-5 offensively, Johnny.
Nighthawks down in the Bandit zone. Working out is Joe Walters. In pursuit is Dane Smith along with Rory Smith. There's Walters with a shot. He scores! Right between the legs in a series of traffic, and the ball finds Twine, and the Knighthawks take a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, Walters has got such a quick release, and he uses a good pick by Johnny Pallas, who's setting a screen, and Walters has got such a good left-to-left split, and just gets up over top as the screen's coming, and shoots through Rory Smith. I don't think Cosmo's seen it, and he picks the far pipe just like that. And the Rochester Knighthawks got their first lead of the game, Johnny.
3:11 left to play here in quarter number 1. The Knighthawks with a 3-2 lead from Buffalo. This is game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
With Max and Michael, time for a little game we like to call Buffalo What? Very simple. Michael answers the question that's going to be on the video board here momentarily.
This is Buffalo Bandits Lacrosse. Get your tickets now, starting at just $28, or your McDonald's Family 4-pack for just $89. Don't miss the hard-hitting, high-scoring action this season. Score! Stenhouse loses a check, takes a shot, he scores! Tickets are available at the First Niagara Center box office, online at bandits.com, or by phone at 1-888-467-2273. See you in Banditland.
Your Knighthawks are heading to the playoffs. The quest to make history begins on Saturday, May 17th at 7:30 p.m. at the Blue Cross Arena. Come cheer on your Knighthawks as they look to bring home the Champions Cup. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or by calling 585-454-HAWK. That's 585-454-4295. The Rochester Knighthawks. No limits lacrosse.
Keep it going, Bandit Man. Make some
Bandits score first at 1:05. Mark Stainhouse from David Brock. 24 seconds later, Stainhouse on the power play from John Tavares. And then Rochester scores 3. 9:04, 9:49, and 11:48. Cody Jamieson, Dan Dawson, Joe Walters. 3-2 Knighthawks. Bandits with the ball down into the Knighthawk zone. Working it from the slot area is Joey Resetaris. From the far side now over to Mark Stainhouse. Here's Stainhouse looking for the hat trick. Feeds it out in front, but no throttle on that one from Jamie Rooney. And the ball tipped by Rooney from the end boards, advancing it, so it'll be Knighthawks ball. Working it out of their own zone. Leading by 3-2 Knighthawks on a 3-goal run. As the Bandits scored in the first couple of minutes of this game. 1 even strength, 1 power play goal. Craig Point working the ball from the line. He's got it from the lead pass over to Dawson, but it's intercepted by Thornburg. And here come the Bandits out of their own zone. They've got 8 seconds to get to the timeline at Minute Center. They do it with ease as Andrew Watt dishes the ball back over to Chad Culp, who works from the front door on this shift. Left wing pass back over to Joey Resetaris. Culp from the right wing side, scoots into the slot area. Relieves over to Resetaris, now to Mark Stainhouse. Stainhouse with the ball into the slot area. Reverses around, tries to feed it out in front to Resetaris, but it goes off the back of a Rochester player, and the ball is picked up by the Knighthawks, and they work it down the left wing lane by Mike Kirk. 3-2 Knighthawks with 1 minute and 54 seconds left to play here in quarter number 1. Stephen Kehoe with the ball, tipping it back over to Craig Point, who goes field wide. Back over to Cody Jamieson and finds an open Joe Walters from the corner. Scoots back over to the right point, not a Kehoe to the left point. Takes a nice shot from Billy D. Smith. Here's a shot on, and Cosmo comes up big. stopping the ball with his pads down onto the turf. Picked up by the Bandits and rushing out to midfield. Working it out to the line is David Brock. Eyeing up the situation as Buffalo quickly changes up on the fly to tie this game up. Working it now from the lane is Ryan Benesh. Feed pass out in front intended for Reciteris. Couldn't do it. He's backed up by Stainhouse. 10 to shoot for Buffalo. Down by 1. Here's a drive by Williams. Stopped by Vince. Getting the outlet ball over to Scott Self, who starts Rochester back up to midfield. Knighthawks leading it 3-2. 1 minute to play here in this first quarter. Craig Point into the line from the left point. Works it outside, back over in front. There's a feed pass intended for Dawson. Couldn't get the connection, and Buffalo's got the ball and quickly starting it up down the right wing lane is Dane Smith. Smith approaching the Knighthawks lane. Stainhouse and Smith set the play up from the far Rochester zone. As now Stainhouse works it from the top of the slot. Smith trying to provide a lane. And the ball broken up into play, and Stainhouse goes down onto the turf. It continues. Stainhouse and Sid Smith get a little pushing and shove match going and stops things with 32.6 seconds remaining here in the first quarter, and is going to go to the Knighthawks ball.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rochester might think about pulling Matty Vince and go for a 6-on-5. The shot clock and the remaining time is right about the same. Might be their advantage, try to extend this lead by 2.
And Matt Vince goes to the bench. The extra attacker is out. 15 seconds remaining. Ball is worked by Dan Dawson just at the Buffalo line from the left point. He's well outside the line right now, eyeing up the situation as Buffalo gets into their defensive formation with 5 seconds remaining. Here's Dawson with a long drive, blocked into traffic, and the loose ball right in front of the Buffalo net, poked back out, and the Bandits have it as Andrew Watt with a 1/10 of a second remaining. And that's going to do it for the first quarter of play. Ends up a little sloppy down into the Bandits zone, but hold off the Knighthawks with the 6th man working on the attack. And the Knighthawks take a 3-2 lead after 1 from Buffalo. This is game number 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon into the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again! It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
So they got those 5 extra shots. But Anthony Cosmo having outdueling Matty Vince right now after the first quarter. 12 saves, and some of them very, very good saves, and others more of a result of the Buffalo Bandit defense making the shots, bad angle shots. Buffalo out loose balling the Rochester Knighthawks 19-11, leading to a couple of second opportunities, but unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize after the first 2 Stainhouse goals in the power play. Buffalo 1 opportunity, 1 for 1.
Second quarter underway. Buffalo will be attacking to the broadcast right. The ball controlled by, or check that, broadcast left. Ball is down into the Bandit zone to the near side, and the loose ball picked up by the Bandits, and they'll start it up down the left wing lane over to Dane Smith. Smith coming into this evening's game, 8-16. There's a shot that goes wide from the Rochester net, picked up by the Knighthawks. Scott Self over the shoulder feet, intercepted by Buffalo's John Tavares. And he'll take it outside the line and allow Buffalo to change up on the fly. What a grace force turnover by John Tavares, tipping it over to Joey Resetaris. Now tips it over to Ryan Benesh. From the corners, it scoots out back over to Resetaris. Near side over to Jamie Rooney. Far side shot by Tavares, blocked into traffic. Rebound goes into the corner. 9 to shoot for the Bandits. And the ball picked up by Williams. Feeding it back out in front, intended for Resetaris, and they'll leave it down into the far Knighthawks corner. No time left on the shot clock, so here come the Knighthawks. They lead it 3-2 here in this second quarter of play. Ball worked by Scott Campbell. 5 seasons with Toronto. He's got that playoff experience. Outside the line is Dan Dawson. He'll take a couple of whacks while Dawson comes across the Buffalo line to Cody Jamieson. Feed pass out in front of Corey Vitarelli. Good defensive play. And that one is off the stick of Mitch Wild. Knighthawks with 4 to shoot. Blocked into traffic. Cosmo way out of his net. Scoops it up with his large goaltender stick and makes the outlet pass. Tipping it back over to Andrew Roth, who brings Buffalo out to midfield. 3-2 Knighthawks here in the second quarter of play. Game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals. Game 2 played a week from tonight. Tavares' shot again blocked into traffic. And it's picked up by Vince. And he'll outlet it back over to Brad Self, brother of Scott. Tips it now over to Joe Walters. Good pressure on by David Brock. Walters feeding it over to Cody Jamieson. Jamieson back over to Dan Dawson. Stationed at the left point of the Bandit zone. Now to the right point over to Joe Walters. Here's Walters tipping it back over to Dawson. Takes a shot from Steve Priolo. Now to the far corner. Tipping it back over. In front there is a shot by Craig Point. It's blocked into traffic. And the rebound picked up by the Bandits, and they'll start down the left wing lane by Dane Smith. Already to the Rochester line. Smith digging his way into the slot area. Feed pass out in front. That's intercepted by the Knighthawks, and they break out to midfield. Campbell brings it right to the Buffalo line. In over he goes. Far side pass. Shot. Score! Knighthawks right off the line. And that one's going to go to Stephen Kehoe. A low laser for 2 Knighthawks.
Bad ball passing by the the Bandit offense. And Rochester, like we said in the pregame, but they can get up the floor very, very quickly, and they do. Stephen Kehoe on the 2-on-1, first one out the front door. The slide can't get there, and he just goes high to low through the pads of Cosmo. You don't want to give Stephen Kehoe too many opportunities from about 17 feet, right in that sweet shooting spot he loves so much.
33 goals during the regular season for Kehoe. His 6th playoff goal. Here comes Buffalo with a shot on. Tavares finally getting over to goaltender Matt Vince. Rebound is picked up by Buffalo. They've reset their shot clock. They're down 4-2. There's Rooney into traffic, taking the shot. Score! And that goes to Chad Culp.
And the Bandits needed that in a big way, Johnny. You can feel over the last 10 minutes the air just getting sucked out of this building. And Culp slips underneath this one defender and then all of a sudden shoots back to the short side. I don't think Matty Vince was expecting that, but a great low to high by Culp. And the Bandit fans are back on their feet, feeling a little resurgence of some energy at the First Niagara Center.
8 playoff games for Chad Culp in his career. 21st point, 2nd goal to the playoffs for Chad Culp. Here comes Buffalo with the ball. Another turnover, and the Knighthawks break free out at center. A breakaway now for the Knighthawks. Shot, save! Cosmo off the shot by John Sullivan.
Oh, and they're calling Tavares for a push at the end, but that was a great dive, in my opinion, by John Sullivan. I mean, Tavares kind of was on the ride in his back, but Sullivan flies into the boards. Wily venture move by Sullivan. Rochester gets a second chance opportunity.
Dan Dawson has the ball for the Knighthawks down at the left point. Feed pass over to Craig Point. Shot straight on. Cosmo with the save, and the rebound goes back out to midfield. David Brock in pursuit of it. Scoops it up right at the Knighthawks, or at the line. Here's Brock, feed pass, trying to get it back over to Ryan Benesh, but couldn't make the connection, so the Knighthawks steal the ball and work it back out to midfield. Brad Self brings the Knighthawks right to the Buffalo line. 4-3 Knighthawks here in quarter number 2. 10 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Joe Walters 10 assists in the last 3 games, including the regular season, as Dan Dawson works it from the left point. Back over to Cody Jamieson. Here's Jamieson now, trying to scoot in front. One-handed pass, but it's intercepted by Buffalo, and Billy D. Smith has got it for the Bandits as he approaches the line. Nice pass over to Ryan Benesh. Benesh trying to feed it back over to Dane Smith. No connection there, and the loose ball picked up by the Knighthawks, and they'll get it out of their own zone.
I tell you, Johnny, offensively, like, the thoughts are all correct. They're all right. They're just not executing. The passes are just missing by 5, 6, 7 inches. I mean, it's a game of inches, and the last 4 offensive sets, Buffalo just looks very haphazard.
18-13 in shots. Knighthawks, they lead it 4-3. They've got the ball down into the Bandits zone. Cody Jamieson works it from the top of the slot, looking for a shot. He elects to go back to the far side. No connection made and no time left on the shot clock, so Buffalo's got the ball. The clock will stop here at the First Niagara Center with 9 minutes and 53 seconds left to play. Quarter number 2, the Knighthawks leading it 4-3 from Buffalo. This is game number 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
We'll hear from Tonawanda, Eric here.
This is Buffalo Bandits Lacrosse. Get your tickets now, starting at just $28, or your McDonald Family 4-pack for just $89. Don't miss the hard-hitting, high-scoring action this season. Score! Statenhouse loses a check, takes a shot, he scores! Tickets are available at the First Niagara Center box office, online at bandits.com, or by phone at 1-888-467-2273. See you in Banditland.
Your Knighthawks are heading to the playoffs. The quest to make history begins on Saturday, May 17th at 7:30 p.m. at the Blue Cross Arena. Come cheer on your Knighthawks as they look to bring home the Champions Cup. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or by calling 585-454-HAWK. That's 585-454-4295. The Rochester Knighthawks. No limits lacrosse.
After our game ends tonight, the National Lacrosse League playoff action continues out west as Calgary will host Edmonton in the Western Division final. You can watch the game live online. You can visit NLL.com and click the link for live coverage of the Rush and Roughnecks. Jeff Schneider not in the lineup tonight for the Roughnecks of Calgary. Here in Buffalo, the Knighthawks have a 4-3 lead over the Bandits. The Bandits have the possession down in the Knighthawks zone. Lead pass out in front. Shot just off the stick of Chad Cope, goes wide. Rebound into the far Knighthawks corner. Buffalo's got the ball. Reset shot clock. Shot straight on by Joey Resetaris on a fast one. And Vince is there with his fast reflexes.
Yeah, good offensive shift there. They ran a pick and roll, started the cycle. They got 2 real good opportunities. The last one coming from Resetaris. Matty Vince wasn't so sure. Ball got stuck in between his legs. Almost rolled over the goal line. Able to corral it before that happens.
Second quarter action. The Knighthawks with a 4-3 lead, and they've got the ball down into the Bandits zone. To our broadcast right, here's Joe Walters with a shot that goes wide. Rebound picked up by the Bandits just with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. And Derek Sutton starts it up for the Bandits. Nice lead pass over to John Tavares. He scores! JT!
Wow, quick hands. Again, the transition, make it a simple game. Derek Sutton flies up the field and finds Tavares, who just gets up over top and just kind of does a Bobby Hall snapshot. Matty Vince definitely was not expecting that, and goes between the wickets of Dino before he even can react, and we're all knotted up at 4.
80th playoff goal scored by John Tavares to tie this one up at 4. 16th shot on goal for the Bandits. Much needed an offensive infusion here in the second half of this second quarter. Knighthawks, however, relentless. Here is a shot by Paulus that goes wide. Hit the back of the netting. Shot clock continuing with 10 seconds remaining. Cosmo comes up with it from behind his net. Left wing pass over to Dane Smith, who starts Buffalo up right at the Rochester line. Smith digging from the slot area, takes the shot, whistles wide. Rebound Smith. Sweeps it down into the near corner, and it's picked up by Joey Resetaris, but it's stolen away by the Knighthawks, and they push it back up the floor. 4-4 the score. Second quarter action. In over the line is Dan Dawson. Goes to the far side now. Over to Scott Self. To Jamison with a shot that whistles wide. Over the glass and into the crowd. It's Buffalo's ball, so David Brock will come up with it and work Buffalo back out to midfield. In over the line, the Bandits go. Setting up the play as the front door is flush with the forwards. And John Tavares with it, but hang on. We've stopped the clock with 7 minutes and 42 seconds remaining, and Randy, that third official out on the floor, will converse with Todd LaBranche, the crew chief tonight from the National Lacrosse League.
Yeah, if we were flies on Mark Steenhouse's helmet, we probably would know what that conversation is. I don't know why there is a stoppage in play here. They're going to go to the penalty keepers area.
LaBranche is having a chat now with shot clock operator official Ryan Fowler, but now breaks free and comes back out to midfield.
Yeah, you're correct. Bringing the shot clock down to 21 seconds, an inadvertent reset. Sometimes that's like the home field advantage, no?
Yeah, why not? Bandits working the ball. In over the line is Steenhouse. Goes over to the far side to Tavares. He's forced into the corner. Now forced back behind the net. Tavares,
that's
diving shot, scores! JT!
Wow, that's a highlight reel goal. 2 in a row by the master, Johnny Tavares. In behind the net, puts it in his strong hand, right hand. It comes flying over top. Matty Vince comes all the way across, but he goes back to the far side. To the left of Matty Vince's big padded shoulder. What a beauty goal.
No challenge on that one. Play out at midfield, picked up by the Knighthawks after that one. What a flying arc by the great one, John Tavares. All-time leading scorer, not only during the regular season, but the playoffs. So 2 top players in the NLL. Dan Dawson with a flying shot, and John Tavares from behind the net finding an opening. Just to the glove side of Matt Vince. Knighthawks with the ball. Down into the near corner, picked up by Corey Ritterelli. Takes the shot, shoulder save by Cosmo. And he got outside the lane to let that ball drip. Back over to the inboards and picked up by the Bandits, leading it now 5-4. Bandits jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first couple of minutes of this game. Knighthawks went on a 3-goal run. Here come the Bandits back into it. Joey Resetaris back over to Mark Steenhouse from the slot area. Tipping it back over to Sean Williams. Now back over to Dane Smith off the blade of his stick and back into the webbing. And he's got it now with 5 to shoot. Forced into the near corner. Feed pass out in front. Nobody there. Retaining it is Benesh with a long drive with 2 to shoot. And Vince is there to outlet the ball. Back over to Scott Campbell. 5-4 Buffalo. 6:14 remaining here in the second quarter. Bandits general manager Steve Dietrich will be our halftime guest. We'll also have highlights of this first half here from the First Niagara Center. Great to have you with us tonight. Cody Jamison with the ball. Tipping it back over from the right point. Far side pass over to Dan Dawson. Dawson back over to Jamison. Jamison floating the ball into the corner. Nobody there except Buffalo, and they have the ball and work it down the left wing lane as David Brock takes a look at things and approaches the Rochester line. Here's Brock looking for an opening, but retreats back outside the line as Buffalo completes the change. Left wing pass from Chad Cope back over to Mark Steenhouse. He hit the left point, scoots into the slot area. Here's Steenhouse, he scores! A hat trick for Steenhouse.
And Steenhouse utilizing a hard pick by Culp. Comes up over top, there's no help. And he goes high to low to the side of Matty Vince, excuse me. That was actually Rooney giving that hard pick. Steenhouse sees it. He sees he's got the advantage. Up over top, and watch that placement. That's just high to low, off the post. Matty Vince cannot do anything about that. And that's 4 unanswered goals by the Buffalo Bandits, and that's the hat trick for Mark Steenhouse.
45th playoff goal by Mark Steenhouse with 5 minutes and 18 seconds left to play here in quarter number 2. 6-4 Buffalo. Knighthawks with the ball down into the Bandit zone. Scott Campbell flips it back over to the offensive forwards. Inside the Buffalo zone as Dan Dawson dekes his way from the slot area. Over the shoulder feed, there's a shot. Tried to set up Johnny Paulus on the give and go to the outside lane. Couldn't make the connection. There's a diving shot by Cody Jamison, stopped by Cosmo, and the loose ball picked up by Buffalo, and that stops things with 4 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Quarter number 2, for Buffalo. This is Game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon into the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again! It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Those of you listening tonight here in the arena or driving in downtown, don't forget to stop by the Miller Lite postgame party at the Cobblestone for one great party with Bandit prizes and the opportunity to hang out with your favorite Bandit players and Bandettes. This party is 21 and over. You can check it out tonight. Second quarter action from the First Niagara Center with 4 minutes and 48 seconds remaining. Buffalo leading at 6-4 and on a run. Mark Steenhouse with a hat trick so far. Dan Dawson with the ball. Tried to feed it over to Johnny Palace. It's backed up by Cody Jamieson with a shot. Whip side of Cosmo, resetting the shot clock. So it will be Knighthawks ball. Went up the side of Cosmo and onto the netting. And hang on now. We're also going to have a penalty.
It's going to go against David Brock. He's probably going to call it delay of game.
Buffalo made a penalty to number 13, David Brock, 2 minutes for delay of game. Brock.
2 minutes for delay of game.
Chris Swinson, the public address announcer here at the First Niagara Center. Delay of game on David Brock.
And accordingly, not so happy about that. The scenario is this. Rochester was awarded the ball. I don't think Brock knew that. He just picks up the ball thinking he's going to get transition. He runs it about 10 yards, and the referee was very, very decisive. Just going, you know what, you're going to the box, delay a game.
There's the ball set up by the Knighthawks. Try to set up a give and go to the stick side of Cosmo, but that is broken up by Cosmo, and good defensive play by Derek Suddens. The Knighthawks 3 for 10 in their last 4 games. Finished the regular season at 48%. The penalty kill for Buffalo during the regular season, 52%. Toronto last week went 3 for 5. This is second quarter action, 6-4 Buffalo. Penalty kill down into the Nighthawks zone. The Bandits second overall in the National Lacrosse League for shorthanded goals at 9. Steenhouse will let the shot clock float out. And the ball will be left down into the near Nighthawks corner. And Sid Smith, who scored his first career goal here in Buffalo on a fluke play back on April 26th, leaves the ball out at center. And here come the forwards for the Nighthawks. Jamieson, he scores.
You don't want to give him too many of those opportunities, Johnny. I mean, he can shoot the ball. A little bit of a slight hard pick by Palace, who rotates back out. And Jamieson just from the top, coming straight up and over top. And through the pads of Anthony Cosmo, their first power play marker of the evening, and they pull back within 1.
23rd shot on goal tonight for the Nighthawks. Buffalo has 19. The draw is won by Jay Thornburg, and he'll start it up at midfield down the left wing lane over to Mark Steenhouse, who has the hat trick tonight. Steenhouse goes into the near Rochester corner, scoots back out, floats it to the far side. Back over to Sean Williams. Williams dekes his way from the corner. Back over to Joey Reseteris. Reseteris outside the line over to Steenhouse. 10 to shoot for the Bandits. They lead it by 1, 6-5. Williams, far side pass. Back over to Ryan Badesh trying to scoot in. Badesh floats it back to the near side. 1 to shoot. Buffalo leaving the ball right in the position down into the Nighthawks near boards. And it's fired back out to Scott Campbell, who will start the Nighthawks just outside the Buffalo restraining line. 6-5 Buffalo. In over the line from the far side is Corey Vitarelli. Tips it back over to Dan Dawson. Takes a couple of whacks from Billy D. Smith. He's taken out of the play. Dawson afforded to pass it back over to Jamison. Twirling in close. Jamison hanging on to the ball with 7 to shoot. Jamison still there. Feeds it back over to the far side. Shot. Save. Cosmo. Rebound. Scooped up by the Bandits. Steve Priolo. Joe Walters put a final whack on to Priolo, but he starts it up outside and to midfield. Crossing the timeline, and Buffalo starts their play up with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left to play here in this second quarter, leading it by 1, 6-5. Stainhouse outside the line from the top of the slot, eludes a check, flips it back over to Joey Reseteras. Reseteras, control problems, comes back up with it. Here's Joey Reseteras now with 4 to shoot. Reseteras with a shot. Vince with the save, the rebound to the right side of the Rochester net. That's smothered up by the 3-time goaltender of the year, Matt Vince. Tipping it back out to Brad Self. 131 loose balls for Brad Self during the regular season. Johnny Palace back over to Cody Jamison, flips it to the far point over to Dan Dawson. In pursuit is Suddens, who lost his stick. Now Dawson one-hands it back over the low side. There was an over-the-shoulder feed, hit the goalpost left side, and a break for Buffalo, but hang on. Play is stop of the minute, 22. And we'll find out what the call will be, Randy Burns.
Yeah, that's going to go to Derek Suddens. Derek Suddens was one-on-one matchup with Big Dan Dawson. Lost his stick. Dawson tries an inside roll. He gives him a little bit of a tug. And Suddens is going to serve 2 in the sin bin for the hold. And the Knighthawks are going to go on the second power play. Had 3 shots that first power play. 1 for 1 on the high heat.
Whoa.
By Cody Jamison.
Just cannot stop this kid.
And they got a great chance to bring this game back to even, Johnny.
Here come the Knighthawks with a man advantage. Jamison will quarterback the power play from the top of the slot. Deep into the corner is Dan Dawson, who has the ball. Feeds it out in front of Jamison. Give and go shot. Pinarelli. Save. Cosmo. Oh, he read that tic-tac-toe perfectly. Bandits break out shorthanded down the left wing lane as David Brock. Into the line he goes as Brock hangs onto the ball. Watches the shot clock as well. 56 seconds remaining here in this first half. Buffalo by 1, 6-5, but down a man. Into the line comes Dane Smith. Passes it back over to Stainhouse. Far side pass to Ryan Madesh, whose shot goes wide. Goes all the way back out to midfield, and it will be the Knighthawks ball as it trickles down into the Bandits zone. And the Knighthawks set things up with 37.9 seconds remaining here in this second quarter. Buffalo leads it 6-5. Johnny Palace using the boards to get it back over to Craig Point. Now to Cody Jamison from the top of the slot. Left wing pass over to Dan Dawson. Jamison with a shot. Goes wide. Rebound. Dan Dawson with 23 seconds left to play into this first half. Dawson directing traffic. Tips it back to the top of the slot to Jamison. Out back to Dawson with a shot. That got blocked into traffic, and it floats all the way back out to midfield. Save the over and back charge. Jamison, long drive over to Vitarelli. Got blocked there, and a good check by Rory Smith. And here come the Bandits with 5 seconds remaining. Ball taken away by the Knighthawks, picked up by Vitarelli. He dekes his way in front of the Rochester or the Buffalo net, but time runs out on the Knighthawks, and the Bandits take a 6-5 lead to the dressing room. Halftime here at the First Niagara Center. Bandits general manager Steve Dietrich will be our guest, plus we'll have highlights. From Buffalo, this is Game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
And the Buffalo Bandits Brigade is making a raffle tonight. Proceeds in the raffle.
This is NLL Halftime. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Dave Walls. We are deep into the battle for the Champions Cup in the 2014 postseason. Let's get you caught up on who's still standing. Let's start first in the Eastern Division, where it's the New York Thruway battle to decide who goes through to the Champions Cup finals. The Rochester Knighthawks and the Buffalo Bandits. Buffalo stamped its ticket to the finals last week by upsetting the number 2 seed Toronto Rock 15-13 at the Air Canada Center. Rochester and Buffalo have faced each other 4 times in the regular season, with Rochester taking 3 out of those 4 matchups, including back-to-back matchups in weeks 17 and 18, in which the Knighthawks won both. The final one 16-14 in week 18. Rochester comes in off a bye week, holding the number 1 seed in the Eastern Division with that 14-4 record. However, Buffalo, despite having that 8-game losing streak to end the regular season, comes in off a outstanding performance against the Toronto Rock and should not be taken lightly. with Game 1 Saturday, 7:30 p.m. at the First Niagara Center, with Game 2 next Saturday, the 17th, at the Blue Cross Arena. Moving on to the Western Division Final, featuring the Edmonton Rush against the Calgary Roughnecks. As the Roughnecks said on NLL.com this past week, we truly believe it's the two best teams, and they've both come from Alberta. Game 1 is Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at the Saddle Dome. Game 2, Friday the 16th, 10 p.m. at the Rexall Place. Edmonton, of course, with that 16-2 record, holding the number 1 overall seed in the National Lacrosse League and with that first round bye. Calgary with arguably one of the most exciting NLL playoff games in history, with a back-and-forth matchup against the Colorado Mammoth that saw the Roughnecks come out ahead with the overtime winner, 16-15, to punch their ticket to the Western Division Finals. Edmonton taking 3 out of 4 regular season matchups, however, against Calgary. Calgary would take the last matchup in Week 17, an exciting 14-13 overtime battle, giving the Rush just their second loss on the season. Edmonton outscored Calgary in regular season matchups 58-40, but as we know with these two teams, there are no secrets anymore, and it should make for a heated and exciting affair, not just for Alberta fans, but for all lacrosse fans across the National Lacrosse League. That does it for this week of NLL Halftime. We'll be back next week to get you caught up on who's won in this week and set up Game 2 of both of these division finals. Enjoy the playoffs. Back at you in just a moment. This is the National Lacrosse League.
Seconds on the shot clock. Now here's Doby. Doby to Veltman. He scores! Daryl Veltman makes it a 1-goal game. It's 6-5. Ball, though, plays it behind the net. Has a man there. There's John Grant Jr. What a pass as he sends it across out of nowhere. Over the back pass to a streaking Iannucci.
Benesh makes them pay again. And Benesh rolls a 7, and the Bandits have a 13-11 lead. Trying to get the Rock back into this. LeBlanc with a couple of passes, and they score. Rob Hellier, nice tic-tac-toe by the Rock.
On, dancing, Evans leaning on his man, spins off his man, steps out, scores! Sean Evans scores the goal! The Roughnecks are moving on to the West Final as Sean Evans is your hero. It's over. 16-15. The Roughnecks win.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon into the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again! It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
This is Buffalo Bandits Lacrosse. Get your tickets now, starting at just $28, or your McDonald Family 4-pack for just $89. Don't miss the hard-hitting, high-scoring action this season.
Score! Stenhouse loses a check, takes a shot, he scores!
Tickets are available at the First Niagara Center box office, online at bandits.com, or by phone at 1-888-467-2273. See you in Banditland.
Your Knighthawks are heading to the playoffs. The quest to make history begins on Saturday, May 17th at 7:30 p.m. at the Blue Cross Arena. Come cheer on your Knighthawks as they look to bring home the Champions Cup. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or by calling 585-454-HAWK. That's 585-454-4295. The Rochester Knighthawks. No limits lacrosse.
Vince, the Knighthawks out shooting Buffalo 26-20, and both teams have a power play marker. Rochester, however, 1 for 2. Buffalo, they're perfect. They're 1 for 1.
We're going to ask our producer Mike Jafari back in Buffalo to hold the spots for the time being, because these teams are about ready to play. So we're going to keep it right here. Joe Shuttlefu, our producer here inside the First Niagara Center. Scott Fleetwood, our director, and we're ready to go for the second half of this game. The Bandits lead it 6-5. They went on a 4-goal run in the second quarter of play to build that lead. The Knighthawks narrow the margin with that big goal there at the end of the second quarter of play by Cody Jamieson, his second of the night. And we were talking with General Manager Steve Dietrich of the Bandits, and how do you stop a guy like Cody Jamieson? You just don't stop him. You just got to slow him down, right?
Yeah, you just got to try to contain him. I mean, he is so strong on the ball. He's got great vision. You know, he can feed. He can basically do everything. And but as Steve Dietrich was saying, you got to pick your poison. Now think about option 2. Here, let Dan Dawson have the ball.
Yeah, it's 6'5", he towers over everybody. Third quarter underway. The Bandits attacking to the broadcast right. Stainhouse is there with 4 to shoot from the far corner. He flips it down behind the Knighthawks net, and the Knighthawks will start it up from the left wing lane. Carried by Mike Kirk out to midfield. Hazen making a quick change. Dawson in over the line as he goes. Far side pass. Shot. Jamieson. Save. Cosmo. Rebound wide. Picked up by the Knighthawks along the end boards. Then worked back out by Stephen Kehoe. Flips it over to Dan Dawson outside the line. In over the line they go to the far side. Jamieson looking for an opening. Jamieson hanging onto the ball. Double teamed on the play. Flipped it over to Kehoe. Overruns on it. Has to come back for it. And with 15 to shoot, the Knighthawks held up at the left point. Good defense by Billy D. Smith. Loose ball on the floor. Kehoe has got it. Far side pass. Back over to Jamieson. And with 5 to shoot, it goes back behind the Buffalo net.
Oh, and Billy D. Smith is just pumped. What a great defensive shift by the Buffalo Bandits. Rochester not getting anything close to Anthony Cosmo. And Billy D. just somewhat manhandling Stephen Kehoe along the boards. And you can see him going off, going, you know what? What a shift. What a shift. Let's keep this up, boys.
Jamie Rooney tipping over to Manesh. He hit the goal post left side of Matt Bentz. It jumps back over to Scott Campbell's stick, and he works it back out to midfield. 6-5 Buffalo here in the early goings of quarter number 3. Game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals of the National Lacrosse League. Dan Dawson outside the line. Flips it to the far side. Over to Jamieson. Dekes his way into the corner. In pursuit. It's Wild. Works the shot by Point. Point tipping it out into the traffic area to Jamison. He's double teamed on the play, and the loose ball picked up by the Bandits, and they'll rush to midfield. Crossing the timeline is Dane Smith. Works it just outside the Rochester restraining line. Stainhouse into the far corner. Tried to feed it back over to John Tavares. Has to go back for it, save the over and back charge. Tavares uses the turf to get it over to Stainhouse. 13 to shoot for Buffalo. They lead it by 1, 6-5. From the far side is Joey Reseteris. There's a shot by Smith. Point blank range. Stopped by Matt Vince. So Dane Smith denied by the Rochester netminder, and here come the Knighthawks into the line with a fast-moving Stephen Kehoe. Held up by Rory Smith. Kehoe flipping it back over to Craig Point. Point tips it over to Dan Dawson. Into the far corner as it goes back over to Jamison. He's free, takes the shot, but it hit the turf. It went high along the netting, so it's Buffalo's ball. 6-5 Bandits pushing it up to midfield. Here in the third quarter of play. Shots on goal, 27-21, favoring the Knighthawks. Stainhouse in over the line. Works it now from the left point. Slips in, Jamie Rooney working with Stainhouse. Here's Stainhouse with a shot, Vince with a save, rebound. Joey Reseteris. Here's Reseteris with a shot, shoulder save, Vince. Shot clock is reset. Stainhouse has got it. Works it now from the left point. Flips it from the far side of Ryan Benesh. Benesh working it and getting checking by Chad Culp. Benesh losing control of the ball, and it's kicked by the Knighthawks and worked back out to midfield, and a break now for the Knighthawks. Sullivan comes over the line, works it out in front, taking the shot wide. It goes into the near Buffalo corner, and the Bandits will start it up with Steve Priolo here in the third quarter, leading at 6-5. A 4-goal run by the Bandits in the second quarter. Took the lead away from the Knighthawks. Here's John Tavares with the shot. He takes a one-timer right on to Matt Vince, who comes up with a big save.
Yeah, the pick and roll, Shawnee Williams and Johnny Tavares, it's not like they haven't done that 1,000 times. Tavares springs free, but another huge save by Matty Vince. Tavares got all day. Pump, comes back short side. Matty Vince throwing up that big left arm.
Knighthawks with the ball down in the Bandit zone from the far side. Working it back for the low shot is Walters. Saved by Cosmo. Stretches out for it. Makes the outlet pass down the right wing lane, and here's Dane Smith working it. Directing traffic in over the line as he goes. Dane Smith twirls with the ball, double teamed on the play, goes into the far corner, tips it back over to Mark Stainhouse. Plenty of time to shoot for the Bandits, leading it by 1, 6-5. Stainhouse feed pass out in front for Rooney. Couldn't make the connection. It's backed up by Buffalo, and the ball by Benesh. Works it to the far side. And we're going to have a penalty against the Knighthawks. Long drive by Benesh, saved by Vince. And looks like the Bandits will be going back onto the power play as Chad Culp was cross-checked inside the Nighthawk zone.
Yeah, it's going to be a checking from behind, cross-check. I believe that's going to go to number 2, big Paul Dawson, Dan Dawson's brother. Buffalo 1 for 1 on the power play. That was earlier in the first half, Johnny. They took one shot, and that was by number 9, Mark Stainhouse, and that was a laser as well, right from the top, utilizing a great pick by John Tavares. Let's see if they can capitalize on power play number 2.
A much-needed man up for the Bandits, leading it by 1, 6-5. Tavares quarterbacks the power play from the top of the slot. Hires it back over to Stainhouse. Now to Joey Reseteris, back to Tavares. Feed pass out to Ryan Benesh. He takes the shot at point-blank range, left side of Matt Vince. And the ball picked up by the Knighthawks, so they come up short-handed. 9.2 goals against for the Knighthawks during the 2014 regular season. Their penalty kill at 53%. 1:20 left in the call to Paul Dawson. It's 6-5 Buffalo. Short-handed, the Knighthawks work to the outside with 7 to shoot. Stephen Kehoe tried to get a piece of it, but it's picked up by Derek Suddens, and he starts Buffalo up the floor, crosses the timeline at center, flips it back over to Mark Stainhouse, who now gets it over to John Tavares. He's being hampered on the play. Tavares wicks it, moving whisk by the ball, but it goes over and back, and it stops the clock with 9 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. Buffalo by 1, 6-5. This is game number 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
106-107 goal with Matthew from Buffalo. How you doing, Matthew? I just happened to have been it. I think you know how this works. If you've been here before, if the Bandits score the next 60 seconds of game clock. Matthew's going to get a turn.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans, flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon into the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again! It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Working on the penalty kill, 52 seconds left into Paul Dawson's call. John Gertler, Randy Mearns with you this evening, high atop the Ted Darling Memorial Press Box. And Joel Walters works it just outside the Buffalo line. Watching that shot clock and taking more time off the penalty to the Hawks. Dan Dawson is there from the left point. He is checked hard by Jay Thornburg. Now double teamed on the play with Billy D. Smith. Craig Point with a shot that goes wide with 1 second to shoot. And here comes Buffalo starting it up. Steve Priolo uses the turf to get it over to Mark Stainhouse. And with 18 seconds left with the man up, here come the Bandits leading it 6-5. The end of the line is Ryan Benesh. Tavares quarterbacks the power play from the top of the slot. Bandits start to move around. There's Benesh now over to Williams with a shot. That's blocked. Rebound picked up by the Bandits. That hits the high netting, and the Knighthawks come up with the ball. And they are back to full strength as Big Paul Dawson comes from the penalty box. And Mike Hazen, the head coach of the Knighthawks, changing things on the fly. Knighthawks in over the line they go as Cody Jamieson cuts from the slot area, finds it open. Craig Point from the left point takes a shot that goes wide. Hits the high netting, so it'll be the Knighthawks ball. Boy, speaking about the Knighthawks and Bandits and alumni, you were talking to Steve Dietrich. You played for the Knighthawks. Dietrich played for the Knighthawks. Hazen playing for the Knighthawks and the Bandits.
Hazer, yeah.
Troy Cordingley playing for the Bandits and the Knighthawks.
We got Drisky sitting right beside me over here on Rochester Radio. We're all big one happy family, John.
Just from one bench to another.
But then here's the kicker. Then you play in this, and then you actually have colors, and you don't really honestly like the people that you're playing against.
Not during when the clock is going. Right.
Not at all. I got to tell you this though. I think Buffalo's defense has done also a great job. And we talk about pick your poison. You know, they've really kept Craig Point at bay. Johnny Palace really hasn't done really a lot. Stephen Keel's got that one marker, but really has been somewhat kind of ineffective against the Buffalo Bandit defense. You know, overall, their defensive strategy has worked this entire, first half and halfway through this third quarter.
And the Bandits defense has worked again. Holding the Knighthawks at bay through the shot clock at 30, and the Bandits waste little time to get back down to the Knighthawk zone. Moving past now to the top of the slot is John Tavares. Floating it back over to Mark Stainhouse. 3 goals on the game so far is Stainhouse. Double teamed on the play. Flipping it back to an open Joey Reseteris, but he couldn't get the webbing of his stick straightened out to capture the ball. As Tavares captures it back out to midfield. Does his own job defensively and then checked back down to the turf without the ball. The fans want a call, but play continues as the Knighthawks come across the Buffalo line from the far side. Cody Jamieson with 2 goals, tipping it back over to Craig Point. Buffalo by 1, 6-5 here in the third quarter. Here's Point to Dawson, he scores!
And what a great play by Dawson and Craig Point. The 2 righties over on the near side. They run the pick and roll. Dawson slices. And Craig Point, great vision. Right in the stick. And Dawson makes no mistake. He's so tall. Like, he got his stick way up there. Like, as a goaltender, you already get on your tippy toes. And he comes straight down to tie this game up at 6.
So Buffalo goes on a 4-goal run in the second quarter of play. John Tavares with 2 goals. Chad Culp, Mark Stainhouse scoring. Cody Jamieson pulling the Knighthawks within 1. And now Dan Dawson has tied this game here in the third quarter at 6. Bandits with the ball. Working it is Jamie Rooney, tipping it back over to Ryan Benesh to the near side. Benesh eyeing up the situation, looking for an open lane. Here's Benesh getting closer on the Vince, taking a shot. And Matt Vince coming up with a big save as Ryan Benesh is pushed inside the Rochester net. Finally breaks free, and the Knighthawks will get it back out to midfield. Craig Point, 10 playoff games to his credit, tips it back over to Dan Dawson. Boy, talk about points. Dan Dawson, 118 coming into this evening's game for playoffs. Dawson's got the ball from the left point inside the Bandit zone. Rory Smith after him. Ball picked up by Point. Tries to tip it back over to the far side to Corey Vitarelli. That's swatted away by Buffalo's defense. Good play by Andrew Watt leading the ball on the boards, and Buffalo starts it up again as the shot clock runs out on the Knighthawks. 6-6. Quarter number 3, 5:04 remaining. Bandits in over the line with John Tavares. Working the ball to the top of the slot over to Williams. Couldn't get the shot away, so Williams retreats back outside the line, tips it back over to moving Tavares. Here's Tavares with a shot that goes wide.
That one was
rebound to the left wing side.
Sorry, Johnny, that one was blown down for an illegal pick. And as we go to break, I think here, John, I think Rochester's going to have the ball.
6-6 the score. Third quarter action from Buffalo. This is game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals. This is Buffalo Bandits Lacrosse. Get your tickets now, starting at just $28, or your McDonald's Family 4-pack for just $89. Don't miss the hard-hitting, high-scoring action this season.
Score! Stainhouse loses check, takes a shot, he scores!
Tickets are available at the First Niagara Center box office, online at bandits.com, or by phone at 1-888-467-2273. See you in Banditland.
Your Knighthawks are heading to the playoffs. The quest to make history begins on Saturday, May 17th at 7:30 p.m. at the Blue Cross Arena. Come cheer on your Knighthawks as they look to bring home the Champions Cup. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or by calling 585-454-HAWK. That's 585-454-4295. The Rochester Knighthawks. No limits lacrosse.
This copyright broadcast of the National Lacrosse League Incorporated may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the National Lacrosse League. 6-6, quarter number 3, 4:49 remaining. Right back to action down on the floor. The Knighthawks with the ball, tipping it back over to Craig Point. He's from the left point. Far side pass over the boards to Cody Jamieson. Retrieves it in the webbing of his stick. Tips it back over to Point. Here's Point taking a couple of whacks. Leaves the ball down into the near corner. Good defense by Buffalo, forcing the play to the outside. Kehoe flips it back over to Corey Vitarelli. Vitarelli lost his stick, kicks the ball right to the crease area, and Anthony Cosmo is there. Steve Priolo starts it up. 6-6 the score here in this third quarter of play. 4:15 remaining. Ryan Benesh outside the line. The left wing pass over to Mark Stainhouse. Stainhouse works the ball from the far Rochester corner. Scoots back out to the slot area. Finds an open right wing pass over to Sean Williams. Williams feeding it back into traffic over to Joey Resetaris. Resetaris tipping it back over to Jamie Rooney. Couldn't get down to it. Resetaris backing him up with 2 to shoot. Here's Resetaris with a diving shot. Blocked off the back of Matt Vince. Well, why not? If you're behind the net and there's 2 seconds left, you might as well take a flying shot at it. And it's cleared by the Knighthawks back down into the Buffalo zone. Tied at 6 here in the third quarter. Dan Dawson from the left point. Working the ball now to the slot area. Far side pass. Tips it back over to Craig Point. His shot against the high glass. I don't know if that was by design to get it over to Johnny Palace, or that's just bad string work.
Well, you know what? I'm not too sure neither, but, you know, I wouldn't put it past them. These guys are very, very inventive of the ways that they can get the ball in the net or set somebody up.
Loose ball down into the Nighthawk zone, scooped up by Chad Culp. Shot clock is reset, so Culp comes all the way back out to midfield and allows Buffalo to go for a quick change. Left wing pass over to Mark Stainhouse inside the Hawk zone. Here's Stainhouse with a shot high and wide. Rebound, John Tavares. Tavares takes a whack from Paul Dawson. Good pad blocking by Chad Culp. Culp gets a pass from Tavares, hangs on to the ball, far side pass, shot right off the stick of Joey Reseteras. A beautiful laser pass by Chad Culp, but it's stopped by Vince. And the Knighthawks come up with the ball. Tied at 6 here in the third quarter with 2:37 remaining. Kehoe with the ball. Works it back over to Dan Dawson now from the top of the slot. Left wing pass back to Kehoe. Kehoe. Far pass over to Cody Jamieson. Lead pass out in front. Shot. Goal! Knighthawks. Corey Vitarelli.
And that might have been one of the rattlesnakes Steve Dietrich was referring to at halftime. The ball gets over here to the right-hand side. Dawson and Kehoe run the old pick and roll. Kehoe comes back up over top. It gets down to Walters, and Vitarelli cuts the seam. And he's wide open, and it just trickles through the pads of Anthony Cosmo. And the Knighthawks regain their 1-goal lead.
7-6 the score, Knighthawks. Corey Vitarelli, one of the 8 players on the Knighthawks roster that can score at will down in the offensive zone. And Vitarelli scores his 7th playoff goal of his career. 23 goals this year during the regular season. Knighthawks 12-4 during the regular season and finished it with a 5-game winning streak. Both clubs with a 5-game winning streak. Second best in the NLL, and of course, how can you stop the Edmonton Rush with their run that they had? Coming up later tonight, actually starting right now at 9 o'clock, face-off in Calgary with Edmonton and the Knighthawks, or the Roughnecks. Jamie Rooney tried to get a shot away and a long pass.
Yeah, that was by Mitch Wild. That was a beautiful pass. Wild throws that thing up about 50 yards, right on the numbers, but Rooney can't get the shot off.
Dawson's got the ball out at midfield. He goes field wide. Tipping it over to Johnny Palace to Corey Vitarelli. From the corner now is Cody Jamieson. Jamieson breaks free in the pursuit of Andrew Watt. He takes the ball away, flips it back over to Cosmo, and he gets the outlet pass over to Derek Suddens, who starts it up for Buffalo. In over the line goes Suddens. Sean Williams is there. In pursuit is Scott Campbell. Williams finding an open Ryan Banesh. Banesh goes field wide over to Mark Stainhouse from the slot area here. Stainhouse with a shot, and Vince comes up with a save. Smothers it with the big webbing of his stick, and outlets it over to Paul Dawson. 7-6 Knighthawks here in the third quarter of play. 45 seconds remaining. Craig Point with the ball. Goes field wide. Back over to Vitarelli. Shot goes on, and Cosmo has the ball down into the crease area. Flips it out of his zone now and starts it up with David Brock for the Bandits out at midfield. 25 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. The Knighthawks lead it by 1, 7-6. But Anthony Cosmo goes to the bench, so the extra attacker for Buffalo is out. Stainhouse tips it over to Brian Banesh. Banesh over to John Tavares, who's deep into the near Rochester corner. Banesh now from the slot area. Back on the Reseteras with a shot. That goes high and wide, and the long ball by Sid Smith goes wide of the Buffalo open net in the closing seconds of this third quarter.
Well, and that was scary. Buffalo takes that shot with way too much time left on the clock. And if Sid Smith would have realized how much time he had, they could have went in transition. There were still 6 seconds on the clock when he got the ball. That would have been an empty net goal.
Rochester leads it after 3, 7-6 from Buffalo. This is game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon into the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again. It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Rochester scores 2 in the third quarter of play to give a 7-6 lead to the defending 2013 NLL champions. Buffalo shut out in the third quarter after a 4-goal run in the second quarter of play. We'll have stats for you in just a couple of moments as we get ready for quarter number 4, game 1 of the Eastern Division Finals. Game number 2 will be a week from tonight in Rochester. And for those that are listening and watching, go to Knighthawks.com to get your tickets now. Randy, stats.
We got Anthony Cosmos, 26 saves to Matty Vince's 24 saves. Knighthawks out shooting the Bandits after 3, 33-30. But Buffalo dominating again. The loose ball work is paying off, 55-36. Both teams are 1 for 2 on the power play, and the faceoffs are actually split. Dylan Evans and Jay Thornburg, they're both 8 for 16.
So as a coach, Randy, going into the fourth quarter of play, what would you tell the Bandits?
Well, you know what? Let's just keep on grinding, keep on digging. We're getting good opportunities. We got to, but we got to bury them. Keep doing the things we do. Keep on getting to the middle. Keep getting to the middle of the net. So offensively, but you don't have to do it in 5 seconds, and the ball can't start sticking in somebody's stick for 10, 12, 15 seconds. Defensively, they just need to continue to do what they're doing. The Anthony Cosmo able to see these shots just like that one. That was really kind of a bad angle shot that he saw all the way. He's going to make those saves all night long.
Fourth quarter action underway. The Bandits will be attacking to our broadcast left as Mark Stainhouse has got the ball, scoots in on the right side of Matt Vince, holds up, works his way back to the left point, tips it back over to the top of the slot to Ryan Banesh. Banesh working it now from the point area, getting in closer. Here's Banesh with a shot that goes over the crossbar. Rebound to the near boards, picked up by Buffalo. Dane Smith has got it, takes the shot, he scores!
Great loose ball work by the youngster. And breaks in all alone until late. Sean Williams is still sitting into the crease. And here comes Dane Smith, and he pays the price. He gets annihilated by Ian Lord. But that's what you got to do in the National Lacrosse League. If you want to score goals, you're going to have to pay the price. That's what Troy Corden was preaching all week. You got to get to the middle of the net. Dane Smith does there. And the Buffalo Bandit fans are back in this game. We're all tied up, Johnny, 7-7.
Bandits right back down to the Nighthawk zone after a strong draw by Jay Thornburg. Working it now from the outside of the line from the left wing pass is Joey Reseteris. Reseteris twirling around, works it to the top of the slot. Over to Banesh. He takes the shot, went wide. Here's Reseteris with a rebound. That went wide. And Big Paul Dawson comes up with it and outlets it out to midfield. Back over to Brad Self, who brings Rochester to the Buffalo line. 7-7 the score. Fourth quarter action here at First Niagara Center. Joe Walters with the ball. In over the line he goes. Dekes his way from the slot area. Goes to the far side. Back over to Dan Dawson. Lead pass out in front intended for Stephen Kehoe. He's taken out of the play, and the Bandits come back up with the ball. And it's led out at midfield. Carried by Andrew Watt, who opened the scoring a week ago in Toronto as Watt leaves the ball out at midfield. He was our Under Armour player profile during the pregame show. He said his job is to bring this ball out at midfield and leave it for the forwards to do the job. And here's Stainhouse looking for 4 with a shot straight on to Matt Vincent. He is double teamed on the play, as is Joey Reseteris. Everybody breaks free from the pile, and the Nighthawks start it back up. In over the line is Dan Dawson. Takes a shot from David Brock. Brock looking after Dawson. Dawson one-hands the ball back over to Stephen Kehoe. Kehoe from the slot area finds an open Corey Vitarelli. Vitarelli now to Cody Jamieson. Here's Jamieson with 10 to shoot, just from the left side of Anthony Cosmo. Jamieson with a shot that goes wide. Rebound Stephen Kehoe. 4 to shoot. Back over to Vitarelli. Over the shoulder shot goes wide. And the 30-second shot clock. Towards Buffalo with the ball out at midfield. David Brock having some control problems, but hang on with 12:16 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Score is tied at 7. The Bandits will start it up on their own at midfield.
Yeah, he was trying to scoop up the ball so he can go on some kind of transition, missed the ball, but the referee blew the whistle. So the Nighthawks are saying, hey, that's in play, you blew the whistle. I think the referees made the right call. They blew all the way back. Went started off from a dead ball, left David Brock to pick it up without any kind of transition going the other way.
Dane Smith with the ball, but it's intercepted by Scott Self. A forced turnover, and Self brings the ball all alone down to the Bandit zone. Here's Self now from the far corner. Fires it back out as his brother Brad Self has got it. Tips it over to Craig Point. Point now finds an open Joe Walters from the right point, and he comes across the Buffalo line. Works it now from the slaughter. If he passes over to Johnny Palace with an over-the-shoulder shot. Saved by Cosmo. Scissors the ball between his pads.
And that's another great save by Cosmo. And a great look by Johnny Palace. He's kind of been quiet the whole night. He throws it behind the back. Cosmo had to be sharp, throwing up the big left shoulder.
Sean Williams with the ball, tipping it back over to Ryan Benesh, now to an open Stainhouse inside the Hawk zone here. Stainhouse with a shot. Vince with the save. The rebound along the end boards. We'll wait for the shot clock to reset, but it's picked up by the Knighthawks.
Yeah. Stainhouse has, I think, a gripe there. The referee's saying that he ran through the crease, which he did. Then that means he can't be the first one to touch the ball, but he didn't. He stayed away from it, waiting for, I think it was Dane Smith to come in and help him out.
Rory Smith just leading Corey Vitarelli onto the floor, and the loose ball picked up by the Bandits. There's a shot labeled hard by Mitch Wild that goes wide. Oh, did Corey Smith just take out Corey Vitarelli onto the turf. Talking about paying the price, he did just that. Probably one of the toughest players I have ever met in sport, being Rory Smith. He got cross-checked a week ago in Toronto. I thought he was out for good. Just laid flat down on the floor, but actually he was okay. He was just giving his teammates a time to catch their breath.
Well, and the thing about it is, too, he's almost like another goaltender when he's out on the field, right? Because he'll block 5, 6, 7 shots a game. He just doesn't care.
Hey, wait a minute now. If you're in an alley and Mike Ditka and Corey Smith, Rory Smith get into a fight, who's going to win? Rory Smith.
Sausage.
If there was a hurricane.
Doubles.
7-7 the score here in the fourth quarter.
That's old school.
That is.
That is old school. That's beauty.
Rory Smith is old school. He is one tough hombre. Here's Mark Stainhouse taking a couple of swats from Rochester defenders. 7 seconds to shoot. Back over to Joey Resiteris. Now to Ryan Benesh. Shot goes wide. Rebound is picked up by John Sullivan. Here's the break as Campbell comes all alone down into the Bandit zone. Fourth quarter action. Score is tied at 7. Bandits went on a 4-goal run in the second quarter of play, but the Knighthawks got right back into the game. Knighthawks scored 2 in the third quarter, shut Buffalo out. And finally, Bandits back onto the board to tie it up at 7. Joe Walters with the ball from the slot. Takes the shot, blocked into traffic. Rebound to the far corner is Steve Priolo. And that stops the clock with 9:11 left to play. Fourth quarter, score tied at 7 from Buffalo. This is Game 1 of the 2004 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals. This is Buffalo Bandits Lacrosse. Get your tickets now, starting at just $28, or your McDonald's Family 4-pack for just $89. Don't miss the hard-hitting, high-scoring action this season. Score! Stainhouse loses a check, takes a shot, he scores! Tickets are available at the First Niagara Center box office, online at bandits.com, or by phone at 1-888-467-2273. See you in Banditland.
Your Knighthawks are heading to the playoffs. The quest to make history begins on Saturday, May 17th at 7:30 p.m. at the Blue Cross Arena. Come cheer on your Knighthawks as they look to bring home the Champions Cup. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or by calling 585-454-HAWK. That's 585-454-4295. The Rochester Knighthawks. No limits lacrosse.
take a 3-2 lead at the end of the first quarter of play. Rochester then taking a 4-2 lead before Buffalo goes on a 4-goal run. Lead at 6-4. Rochester closes out the scoring of the second quarter to make it by 6-5. They shut Buffalo out in the third quarter. They score 2 goals. 7-6 at the end of 3, and then Buffalo tying it up at the 55-second mark of this fourth quarter by Dane Smith. 7-7 we stand. And the Bandits work on the penalty kill. In over the line is Dane Smith from the left point. Dekes his way now to the slot area. Watches the shot clock with 9. Here's Ryan Benesh taking a shot on, and it's picked up by the Knighthawks, and they started up right out at midfield. Score tied at 7 here in the fourth quarter of play. 8 minutes and 21 seconds remaining. Scott Self leads it off to the forwards. Corey Vitarelli. Top of the slot back over to Johnny Palace. Far side over to Craig Point. Into the corner to Dan Dawson. Now to a moving Cody Jamieson. Now to Dawson from the corner. Moves back over to Point with a shot. Saved by Cosmo. Rebound picked up by Steve Prialdo, and he'll work it out of his own zone despite being double teamed on the play. Rory Smith is there. Works it across the line, but did they make it at 8 seconds? No. They've got to retreat, and Buffalo's defense has to get right back to it. In over the line goes Scott Campbell. He'll slow it down here now. The shot clock reset. Score tied at 7. Working with the man advantage for the next 29 seconds. From the top of the slot is Jamieson. Setting up the play with Point. Now back over to Jamieson. Jamieson with a shot that goes wide. No connection made and no shot clock reset, so there's 5 to go for the Knighthawks. Here's Vitarelli. He scores!
And Vitarelli's got such a sweet stroke. Jamieson corrals the loose ball. There's about 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Finds Vitarelli. Buffalo's defense just kind of fell asleep a little bit, and he just sits there and picks and points his shot, and just a stroke, a whoosh. High to low, about mid-range to the right of Anthony Cosmo. That's the second power play marker for the Knighthawks. I believe that's his second goal of the game, too,
yes,
Johnny.
Yes, it is. 8th playoff goal of his career for Corey Vitarelli. 15 points in his last 4 regular season games. Knighthawks by 1, 8-7. Joe Walters with the ball, works it inside the Buffalo zone. Far side pass over to Dan Dawson. Now to a running Craig Point. Point looking for an opportunity, elects to go to Vitarelli. He's stopped by Cosmo. Vitarelli captures the rebound, and the shot clock is reset. Rochester by 1, 8-7. This is fourth quarter action with 6 minutes and 55 seconds remaining. Dan Dawson tips it back over to Joe Walters. Now back to Vitarelli. Flips it back to Walters. Walters into the near Buffalo corner. Scoots back out to the slot area. Walters hangs onto the ball with 9 to shoot. Dekes his way. Wild in pursuit of it. Here's Walter's shot. Kick save and a beauty by Cosmo. And the rebound picked up by Jay Thornburg. Brings Buffalo to the line. In over the line goes Ryan Benesh with the shot that goes high and wide. Rebound from the left side. Denied. As John Tavares tried another diving shot. Ball goes high against the netting, and it retains the Buffalo's ball, and the shot clock reset.
Yeah, that's a good second opportunity. Good loose ball work by Resetarits and Stainhouse. You got to grind here, boys. 6 minutes left in this game. They're down by 1. Any second opportunity is going to be huge.
And it's huge. John Tavares, hat trick.
Those second opportunities, that's what it brings you. Rochester's defense really kind of wasn't settled there, too. Like the game started, all of a sudden Tavares just springs free. He's reading that real nice lock and load seam. There's a couple of hard picks down low with Benesh. Nobody rotates out to Tavares. That's the hat trick. He just goes high to high and blows it past Matty Vince. And again, we're all knotted up.
So Tavares scores the hat trick to tie things up at 8. Bandits with the ball immediately down in the Nighthawk zone. Here's Dane Smith. He scores! Great Dane Smith.
By winning face-offs, you can gain momentum. Buffalo gets it at 8. The crowd's into it. They win the face-off in a matter of 8 seconds. Dane Smith blows one past Matty Vince on a great feed. As he slips the seam, nobody rotates to him. He gets number 2 on the night, short side on Matty Vince. And the Bandits are up by 1.
From the draw, the Bandits immediately down in the Knighthawks zone, but the ball is chopped away from Chad Cope, and the loose ball picked up by the Knighthawks, getting it out of their own zone. Now the hitting starting to warm up here as Paul Dawson brings the ball to midfield. Works it now just to the line as Craig Point comes over from the far side. In pursuit is Rory Smith. Point finds an open Cody Jamieson from the slot area. Jamieson with the ball. Working it now with 9 to shoot. Takes the shot well wide of the Buffalo net. Corey Vitarelli is there. Takes the shot. Stopped by Cosmo. Scramble for the ball continues, but Rochester has run out of time, and the loose ball from behind the Buffalo net will afford Buffalo to start it up out of their own zone with 5 minutes and 12 seconds left to play. Fourth quarter, 9-8 Buffalo. But hang on, we've got a timeout here as crew chief Todd LaBranche signaling over to Cosmo. He might have an equipment problem.
Yeah, I think he was coming out saying, hey, you know, something's wrong with my right pad. But I don't think the referees were, going to let that happen. But there was 5 Bandits over by their bench actually having a quick little huddle. I don't think there was any kind of official timeout there, Johnny.
So we're back to action with the Bandits approaching the Knighthawks line. Mark Stainhouse, who's got 3, works it back over to Ryan Benesh, back over to Stainhouse. Stainhouse now to Dane Smith. Here's Dane Smith with a shot. He scores!
He's got such quick feet. What a release. He just comes up to his man. It's a one-on-one matchup, and you don't want to let guys get up over top into the center. And he gives you the old 5-step, and he's up over top, and a low bouncer that gets back up into the air, into the top right corner. What a move by the youngster Dane Smith. He's breaking ankles, and he's breaking hearts right now, Johnny.
Another hat trick to record, and this goes to Dane Smith. Buffalo by 2, 10-8. An official timeout with 4 minutes, 50 seconds remaining. Quarter number 4 from Buffalo. This is game 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon to the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again! It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Bandit prizes and the opportunity to hang out with your favorite Bandits and Bandettes.
Where's that at?
Fourth quarter action, Cobblestone. Right down the way here.
I've been there.
You've been there. Back to action with the Knighthawks working the ball down into the Bandits zone from the corner. Joe Walters lead pass out in front of Dan Dawson. He is stopped at point-blank range by Anthony Cosmo. And Dawson Hamburg to the turf.
And that's a huge save by Cosmo. Again, they run the rattlesnake. And Dawson just all alone. And they get a nice feather pass, but the 6'5 monster cannot bury when his team needs it. Cosmo equal to the challenge.
40-38 in shots, Rochester, but Buffalo's got a 10-8 lead. Joey Reseteras tipping it back over to Brian Benesh. Benesh twirling away, takes the shot, wide, rebound. Along the boards, picked up by Mark Stainhouse. 3 to shoot for the Bandits. Stainhouse with a long shot. Saved by Vince. And the rebound picked up by the Knighthawks, and they started out at midfield. 4 minutes left to play here in the fourth quarter of regulation time. Bandits lead it by 2, 10-8. Seesaw battle back and forth between these two clubs in game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals. Corey Vitarelli feed pass out in front to Craig Point. That shot goes wide. Vitarelli gets the rebound, but it's taken away by Billy D. Smith, and Smith over the shoulder feed out to midfield, over to Dane Smith. And Dane Smith brings the Bandits just to the Knighthawks line. And now Randy Mearns, this is time management.
Well, it's time management, but you don't really want to get in a time management rate yet. You still got to keep on playing lacrosse, keep playing on offense.
That signals another Buffalo goal. It's Mark Stainhouse, number 4 on the night.
You know, you can never have enough. Sure, you want to utilize some of the clock, but Mark Stainhouse, when you see an advantage, you still got to keep on playing the game. And he just gets underneath his guy and goes high to low. Again, I don't know if it went to the short side or between the pads of Matty Vince, but again, that one-on-one matchup, the Nighthawk defense is a little indecisive who should rotate to Stainhouse, and he's just dancing to the crowd, and the Bandits are up by 3, Johnny. Here we go.
11-8, Buffalo with 3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. They've got the ball down into the Nighthawk zone. It's carried by Mitch Wild, who will set up the play now for the forwards coming back from the Buffalo front door. Mark Stainhouse is out there along with Jamie Rooney. Here's Stainhouse with a drive that goes across the crossbar, and he went into the crease area, so it's the Nighthawks ball. And with 3 minutes left, they'll start it out at midfield. Wasting little time. In over the timeline they go. Led by John Sullivan, the left wing pass. That's broken up into the Buffalo zone, and the rebound is cleared back out, and Dane Smith has got a breakaway. Here's Dane Smith, leaving it back out in front. Shot! Score! Buffalo! John Tavares, after Dane Smith left it for the all-time leading playoff scorer, John Tavares with 4.
What a smart play by Dane Smith. He sees he's going to have a breakaway. He's already heading up the field, but it ends up being a one-on-one, but he's flying. And out the side of his eye, he knows Tavares is coming out the front door because the Bandits are hustling to the bench. He just gives the ball up. Tavares got all day. Hedge fake through the pads. They're up by 4.
And a 5-goal run by the Buffalo Bandits here in the fourth quarter of play after being shut out in quarter number 3. Scored 2 quick ones in the first quarter of play, the minute 30. They score 4 in the second quarter, shut out in the third, and now score 5 here in the fourth quarter and lead it 12-8 with 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Bandits with no time left on the shot clock let one go. Ryan Benesh picks it up and will work it outside the lane. Good possession for Buffalo. They were retreating back to the defensive zone, but Buffalo found a loose ball down into the Nighthawk zone. But hang on, we got a stoppage in play here, and the on-field officials will have a conversation. What do we have?
Well, they're trying to figure it out. See, because the shot clock was getting low, for the Buffalo Bandits. And then they just, I think it was Sean Williams kind of like threw it as a pass.
Bench punt, too many men. Being served by Jed Cole.
Well, they just got to marker 2 with 2 minutes and 1 second remaining. Had that gone over into the 1:59 mark, it would have been a penalty shot.
Yeah, it might. Oh, yeah, exactly. And again, that's that third official that can now concentrate on, the benches. And here's the kicker. Buffalo had a 4-on-3. They weren't utilizing it, but they had 2 guys already on defense. That's a good call by the referees. Nighthawks 2 for 3 on the power play, 9 shots. You got Vitarelli and Cody Jamieson got the goals on the power play.
Cody Jamieson let a shot go from the top of the slot. That was blocked by Rory Smith. Vitarelli gets the rebound. Here's Jamieson again, high and wide. Rory Smith comes up with the rebound and outlets the ball out in midfield to Steve Priolo. Scored 3 shorthanded goals during the regular season.
Yeah, and he's not going to go for a shorthanded goal. This is all game management now. Bandits up by 4, 1:19 left.
Leaves it out in front of the Rochester net, but hang on, there was a lot of activity going on off ball with Dan Dawson, Billy D. Smith, and Rory Smith as protectors, and a possession timeout called now with 1:13 remaining here in quarter number 4. Buffalo by 4, 12-8. What a game this has been.
Hey, it's the playoffs. Buffalo going on that whole 8-game skid. You know what? You find a lot about yourselves, right? You got to face the adversity. You got to persevere through it. You got to find your confidence. They do that at the ACC last week against Toronto, and they're feeling it right now, and everything is clicking. They're getting to the middle of the net. They got their transition. Their defense is playing phenomenal. Anthony Cosmo is making the saves he needs to make. And this last fourth quarter, they've just dominated the Rochester Knighthawks.
Bandits started out with a 2-0 lead in this game in the first minute and 30 seconds. Rochester scores 3 to take a 3-2 lead at the end of 1. They then take a 4-2 lead in the early goings of quarter number 2. Buffalo goes on a 4-goal run to lead 6-4. Buffalo comes within 1, 6-5 at halftime. Rochester shuts Buffalo out in the third quarter and scores 2 to lead it 7-6. And then Buffalo comes back to get things going to tie it at 7 at the 55-second mark, and they did not look back. Hat tricks tonight for Mark Stainhouse, John Tavares, and Dane Smith. 12-8 Buffalo in this game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals of the National Lacrosse League. Game number 2 will be a week from tonight in Rochester. For fans down in Rochester, get your tickets now by going to Knighthawks.com. Here come the Knighthawks with 1 minute left to play into regulation. Dan Dawson over to Cody Jamieson, back over to Dawson. Now over to Johnny Pallas with a shot. That's blocked into traffic. Got his helmet knocked off. Now Cody Jamieson taking Rory Smith down to the turf. And the loose ball is cleared back out. And Vince way out of his crease and tips it back over to Self. Right back into the fray of the Buffalo zone. 38 seconds left. Pallas with the ball. Top of the slot over to Cody Jamieson. Jamieson now working the ball to Craig Point with a shot that goes off the side of Anthony Cosmo. And 25 seconds remain. Vince way out of his net to get that ball back over to Craig Point. Get over the line to Dan Dawson. Back over to Craig Point. Now over to Cody Jamieson. Misplays the ball. And you hear it from the fans, signaling the end of this game with about 9 seconds remaining. And Buffalo works the ball with Billy D. Smith over to Steve Priolo. Priolo back to Smith, and that's going to do it. The Buffalo Bandits win game number 1. Final score, Buffalo 12, Rochester 8. We'll be back with a post-game show in just a couple of moments from Buffalo. This is game number 1 of the 2014 National Lacrosse League Eastern Division Finals, and it's a final.
Stick around for the $3 and your intense player of the game.
That's okay to dump them. You don't have to worry about playing them. Don't worry about it. You're going to play 3 now? Well, play the standard 3 and then we'll be back. Thanks, man. We'll do highlights first. Which one was it? Okay. Thank you.
The life insurance industry is going through exciting changes. Make sure you're not paying too much for your term insurance. For new replacement life insurance
It's a final. The Bandits win Game 1 of the Eastern Division Finals with a 12-8 victory over the Rochester Knighthawks. John Gertler, Randy Mearns with you this evening. Mike Jafari is our producer. Scott Fleetwood, our director and statistician here at FNC. And Joe Shelafu, we're also here inside the arena in our game coverage. Randy, an interesting game. The Bandits score 2 quick ones at the minute 30 into the game. Knighthawks get back scoring 3 to take a 3-2 lead at the end of 1. Then they take a 4-2 lead at the early goings of quarter number 2. Buffalo goes on a 4-goal run to get right back into this game with a 6-4 lead. Knighthawks narrow the margin with a goal and settle for a 6-5 lead. Buffalo settles for a 6-5 lead at halftime. The Knighthawks shut out the Bandits in the third quarter of play. They score 2 and take a 7-6 lead. But we'll pick up the highlights of tonight's game in the fourth quarter at the 55-second mark as Buffalo ties it up with Dane Smith. Ryan Benesh and Mark Stainhouse with the assist. Buffalo tying it up at 7. Corey Vitarelli on the power play for the Knighthawks from Dan Dawson and Cody Jamieson. And the Knighthawks go up by 1, 8-7. John Tavares comes back at 8:50 to tie it at 8. Joey Reseteras getting the assist, tying it up at 8. Buffalo in the midst of a 5-goal run in the fourth quarter of play. Dane Smith comes back at 9:09 to give Buffalo the lead again.
Right, Dane Smith.
Mark Stainhouse and Ryan Benesh with the assist. Or check that, Sean Williams with the assist. Right back at it. 10:08. Guess who? Great Dane Smith. Mark Stainhouse and Ryan Benesh with the assist. Buffalo by 2, 10-8. Buffalo gets on the scoreboard at 11:35. Mark Stainhouse with his 4th of the night from Dane Smith and Joey Reseteras. And to finish things out, John Tavares at 12:20. Dane Smith, David Brock with the assist. Buffalo 12, Rochester 8. That is a final. Tonight, game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals. Shots on goal in the game. Knighthawks 44, Buffalo 42. Power play 2 for 4 for the Knighthawks. Buffalo 1 for 2. And Randy, the rest of the statistics of tonight's game.
Loose balls, just a dominant performance by the Buffalo Bandits. Led to some of those second opportunities in the fourth quarter. 76-50. Out loose ball the Knighthawks by 26. That generally doesn't happen, Johnny. Face-offs relatively even, but in the fourth quarter, Thornburg was able to win more than Evans. Big face-offs. Allowed Buffalo to gain some of that momentum, scored 3 or 4 of those goals right in a row. But overall, Thornburg was 13 for 24, Evans 11 for 24. Power plays, both were 50% on the night. Rochester 2 for 4, Buffalo 1 for 2. And at the end of the day, Buffalo comes away with that 4-goal victory, Johnny.
Yeah, Scott Fleetwood selects the 3 stars of the game. Give us the rundown of who received the awards.
Well, he goes with the 3rd star, Jay Thornburg. 11 loose balls, 13 out of 24 in the faceoffs. And again, an unsung hero.
Yeah.
Plays great defense as well, transitions. Star number 2, John Tavares, 4 goals, 2 assists on 7 shots and 7 loosies. And the number 1 star in tonight's victory over the Knighthawks is number 9, Mark Stainhouse. 4 goals, 3 assists on 8 shots, 8 loose balls, and 1 power play marker. And when they needed him, he delivered. And when they needed Dane Smith, he delivered. And when they needed Mr. Tavares, he delivered. Your big guys got to play big in big games, and they did tonight, Johnny.
12-8 final tonight for the Buffalo Bandits, winning game number 1 of the Eastern Division Finals. Here from Buffalo, Anthony Cosmo going the distance, making 36 saves off 44 shots. For Matt Vince, making 30 saves on 42 Buffalo shots. And looking at the individual statistics for the Knighthawks, Dan Dawson with 2 goals and 3 assists. Corey Vitarelli with 2 goals and 1 assist. Cody Jamieson, 2 goals and 3 assists. And interesting to note, Randy Mearns, Johnny Palace shut out. Stephen Kehoe going 1 goal and 1 assist as well. But the Buffalo Bandits turn it on in the fourth quarter of play when they needed to. And go on a 5-goal run to win it tonight, 12-8. Okay. Sets the stage for a week from tonight in Rochester. So Buffalo has game number 1. 60 seconds left in order to move on to the finals. But the Knighthawks play so well in that barn down in Rochester, and you imagine that they'll